The Watchers arrived. The Kepler system had always been quiet. 3 small planets orbited a modest yellow star, with only the middle world showing signs of life. Mining platforms dotted the asteroid belt, their lights blinking steadily as automated. Systems extracted precious metals from ancient rocks. To any observer, it looked like a typical human frontier operation, small, efficient, and utterly unremarkable. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of the Vorthok flagship Dominion's Edge, his forearms moving with practiced precision across holographic controls. His species had ruled this section of the galaxy for over 2,000 years, and first contact with primitive civilizations had become routine. The crimson-skinned giant studied the sensor readings with mild interest. These humans appeared to be exactly what their long-range scouts had reported: a young species barely capable of interplanetary travel. "Status report," Vex commanded, his voice resonating through the bridge with natural authority. The Dominion's Edge was the crown jewel of the Vorthok war fleet, stretching nearly 2 kilometers in length and bristling with weapons that could reduce planets to asteroids. "All ships are in position, Commander," replied his tactical officer. "The Nexari and Zilonian vessels have taken their assigned coordinates. We have complete tactical superiority." Through the viewport, Dex could see the other ships of the Tri-Alliance fleet. The Nexari collective ship Hivemind looked like a massive, crystalline structure, its faceted surfaces gleaming with internal light. Thousands of insectoid beings worked within its transparent corridors, their movements synchronized with perfect efficiency. The Zilonian vessel Voidwalker appeared to be made of liquid metal, its surface constantly shifting and flowing as if alive. Together, the 3 ships represented the most powerful military alliance in known space. For 15 centuries, the Tri-Alliance had maintained galactic peace through strength. When new civilizations were discovered, they were given a simple choice: join peacefully or be conquered. Most chose peace. "Begin scanning the human settlements," Vex ordered. "I want to know everything about their military capabilities, population centers, and industrial capacity." The scan results appeared on his display within minutes. The human presence in the system was even smaller than expected. A few million people scattered across orbital stations and planetary colonies. Their largest military vessels were primitive fusion-powered craft that posed no threat to Alliance technology. Their industrial base consisted mainly of mining and refining operations. "Pitiful," muttered Dex. "Another species that reached space travel through luck rather than wisdom." On the Nexari ship, Queen Minzara processed the tactical data through her collective consciousness. 10,000 worker minds shared her thoughts, creating a mental network that could analyze problems from every conceivable angle. The humans showed no signs of advanced technology, no evidence of energy weapons, no indication they had ever encountered other intelligent species. These mammals will adapt well to collective integration. Zara's thoughts rippled through her ship. Their individual minds appear strong enough to contribute meaningfully to the greater whole. The Nexari method of conquest was subtle but absolute. They didn't destroy civilizations, they absorbed them. New species were given neural implants that connected them to the collective consciousness, gradually replacing individual thought with group harmony. From the outside, absorbed species appeared to live normal lives. From the inside, they had become part of something larger and more efficient than anything they could achieve alone. Admiral Corvain commanded the Zilonian ship with the fluid grace his species was known for. The Zilonians were shapeshifters, capable of altering their molecular structure at will. They had no fixed form, appearing as whatever was most useful for the current situation. Today, Corvin wore the shape of a tall, elegant humanoid with silver skin that flowed like mercury. These humans show interesting creativity, Corvin observed to his crew. Their mining operations are surprisingly sophisticated for such a young species. With proper guidance, they could become valuable contributors to the Alliance economy. The Zolonians preferred economic integration to military conquest. They would offer the humans advanced technology in exchange for exclusive trading rights, gradually creating economic dependency that was impossible to break. Within a few generations, human civilization would exist solely to serve Zolonian commercial interests. Commander Vex activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, prepare for standard first contact protocol. We will broadcast the integration offer on all human frequencies. The message that followed was ancient, refined through centuries of successful conquests. It spoke of peace, prosperity, and the honor of joining a galactic civilization. It offered protection from hostile forces, access to advanced technology, and the wisdom of species that had mastered the stars for millennia. All it required in return was complete submission to Alliance authority. The transmission reached every human settlement in the system within minutes. On mining platforms, in orbital habitats, and across planetary surfaces, humanity received its first official contact with galactic civilization. The response came exactly 12 hours later. Instead of the desperate pleas or terrified surrender, messages the Alliance had come to expect, they received a calm, professional communication from the largest mining platform. Greetings, representatives of the Tri-Alliance. This is Director Marcus Webb of the Kepler Mining Consortium. We acknowledge your message and appreciate your interest in establishing relations with humanity. However, we will need 48 hours to prepare proper reception facilities for diplomatic contact. We request that you maintain your current position until arrangements can be completed. Thank you for your patience. The three alien commanders stared at their displays in stunned silence. No primitive species had ever made demands of the Alliance. No newly discovered civilization had ever spoken with such casual confidence. Most species either surrendered immediately or attempted desperate, futile attacks. Did they just ask us to wait? Queen Mind, Zara's thoughts buzzed with confusion through the collective network. Unacceptable, growled Commander Vex. We do not take orders from primitives. Prepare boarding parties. We will take their leadership by force and end this foolishness. Wait, Admiral Corvin's voice carried a note of curiosity. Something about this doesn't feel right. Their response was too calm, too organized. Most species panic when they first encounter galactic civilization. What are you suggesting? Dex demanded. I'm suggesting we give them their 48 hours, Corvain replied. If they want to prepare some kind of ceremony or offering, let them. It will make the integration process smoother. And if it's a trap, Queen Mind, Zara interjected. A trap, Dex laughed, the sound echoing through his bridge. What could they possibly do? Their entire fleet consists of mining barges and cargo haulers. Our smallest escort ship has more firepower than their entire military. The decision was made to wait. The Alliance had time, and patience had always been one of their greatest weapons. Primitive species often used the extra time to convince themselves that cooperation was their only option. But as the hours passed, strange things began to happen. Long-range sensors detected increased activity throughout the human settlements. Power levels fluctuated in patterns that made no sense. Communication traffic spiked, then suddenly went silent. Most mysterious of all, several large objects in the asteroid belt simply vanished from sensors, as if they had never existed. Director Webb, Commander Vex broadcast to the mining platform, "What is the nature of your preparations?" "Our sensors are detecting unusual activity." The human response was immediate and unnaturally calm. "Routine maintenance procedures, Commander. Nothing that should concern your forces. We appreciate your continued patience." Queen Mind Zara felt the first stirrings of unease ripple through her collective consciousness. The quantum patterns around the human settlements were changing in ways that shouldn't be possible. Energy signatures were shifting to frequencies that didn't match any known technology in the Alliance databases. "Something is wrong," she transmitted to the other commanders. "The humans are not behaving like a primitive species." "Explain." Admiral Corvain's form shifted slightly, betraying his own growing concern. "Primitive species follow predictable patterns when confronted with overwhelming force. They either submit immediately or make desperate, irrational decisions. These humans are doing neither. They're planning something." On the bridge of the Dominion's edge, Dex studied the tactical displays with growing suspicion. The humans were definitely preparing something, but their technology was so different from standard galactic patterns that it was difficult to analyze. Their power systems appeared incredibly inefficient, but the raw output was surprisingly high. Their communication networks showed signs of encryption methods that the Alliance had never encountered. "Perhaps they found derelict technology from an extinct civilization," suggested his weapons officer. "The galaxy is full of dead races that left behind artifacts." It was a reasonable explanation. Many primitive species had stumbled across ancient technology they barely understood. It usually led to their destruction, but it could temporarily give them capabilities beyond their natural development. As the second day began, the Alliance fleet detected something that changed everything. A massive power surge emanated from deep within the asteroid belt, followed by gravitational distortions that registered on sensors across the entire system. Whatever the humans had been preparing, it was now active. "Commander," the sensor operator reported, his voice tight with disbelief, "we're detecting a massive artificial structure in the asteroid belt. It was completely invisible until now." "Show me," Dex ordered. The main display shifted to show a section of the asteroid belt that had appeared empty just hours before. Now, a colossal structure was clearly visible, its surface reflecting starlight like polished metal. The object was enormously 15 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. It had been hidden among the asteroids so perfectly that even Alliance sensors had missed it completely. "That's impossible," whispered the tactical officer. "Our scans showed nothing but natural asteroids in that sector." "Stealth technology," Admiral Corvain's voice carried new respect, "but far more advanced than anything in our databases." Queen Mind Zara's collective consciousness recoiled in shock. The quantum signature of the hidden structure was distinctly human, but it operated on principles that challenged everything the Alliance knew about physics and engineering. This was not found technology, this was something humanity had built themselves. The structure began to move. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed, the massive object separated itself from the asteroid field. As it emerged fully into open space, its true nature became clear. This was not a space station or mining facility. This was a warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The hull was a masterpiece of brutal efficiency, every surface designed for maximum protection and firepower. Weapon systems that defied classification bristled from armored housings. Drive systems that shouldn't exist, according to Alliance physics, pushed the vessel through space with impossible grace. By the void, Commander Vex breathed, "What have we stumbled into?" A new transmission reached the Alliance fleet, this time originating from the massive warship. The voice that spoke was human, female, and carried an authority that made seasoned military commanders straighten unconsciously. "Attention Tri-Alliance vessels. This is Captain Alina Vasquez of the United Earth ship Leviathan. Thank you for your patience while we completed our preparations. We are now ready to discuss the future of human-alien relations in this galaxy." The message continued, but its implications had already struck the Alliance fleet like a physical blow. The humans had not just hidden a single ship. They had hidden the most advanced vessel any of them had ever encountered. Whatever humanity truly was, they were no primitive species stumbling into galactic civilization. They were something else entirely, and the galaxy was about to learn that the age of easy conquest had just ended. The Titan emerges. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Leviathan, watching the tactical displays that showed 3 alien warships frozen in apparent shock. Her dark eyes reflected the soft glow of holographic interfaces, and her expression remained perfectly calm despite the magnitude of the moment. This was what humanity had been preparing for during 8 decades of careful planning and technological development. "All systems are green, Captain," reported Commander James Chen from the weapon station. "Defensive fields are at maximum efficiency, and all weapon systems are online and ready." "Thank you, Commander," Alina replied, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had trained for this moment her entire life. "Communications, open a channel to the lead alien vessel." The main screen shifted to show the bridge of the Vorthok flagship. Commander Vex sat in his command chair, his 4 arms gripping the armrests so tightly that his knuckles had turned white. His crimson features showed a mixture of rage and fear that Alina found oddly satisfying. "Commander Vex," Alina began, her tone conversational despite the circumstances. "I believe we need to have a more honest discussion about the situation here. What is the meaning of this deception?" Dex demanded, his voice resonating with barely controlled fury. "Our sensors clearly showed a primitive mining operation. Where did this vessel come from?" Alina smiled, and there was genuine warmth in the expression. "Oh, but Commander, there was no deception involved. We are exactly what we claimed to be, a mining operation. It's just that our definition of mining includes extracting raw materials from asteroid belts to build 15 warships." The revelation hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. The humans hadn't hidden an existing vessel, they had built the Leviathan right under the Alliance's nose, using mining operations as cover for the largest construction project in human history. "Impossible," Queen Minzara's voice came over the communication channel, her collective consciousness struggling to process what they were witnessing. "No species achieves such technological capabilities without centuries of galactic contact and knowledge sharing." "You're absolutely right," Alina agreed cheerfully, "which is why we didn't limit ourselves to the normal development path. You see, humanity has been aware of galactic civilization for nearly 80 years. We've been monitoring your communications, studying your technology, and learning everything we could about how this galaxy operates." The implications of her words sent shockwaves through the alien commanders. If humanity had been observing galactic civilization for 8 decades, they knew everything. Trade routes, military capabilities, political structures. Technological secrets, all of it had been catalogued and analyzed by human intelligence. Admiral Corvain's liquid metal form rippled with anxiety. You've been spying on the Alliance. For 80 years. Spying is such an ugly word, Alina replied. We prefer to think of it as extended reconnaissance. When you're planning to survive first contact with a galactic civilization that has a perfect record of conquest, you need to be very thorough in your preparation. She gestured to someone off-screen, and the display changed to show a detailed star map of Alliance territory. Red lines traced expansion patterns, trade routes, and military positions with accuracy that should have been impossible for any outside civilization to achieve. The Vorthok Empire, Alina began, pointing to various sectors of the map, has conquered 47 species over the past 2 millennia. Your standard procedure involves overwhelming displays of force followed by integration demands. Species that submit become client states. Those that resist are enslaved or eliminated. Commander Dex felt his secondary heart begin beating faster. The human woman was displaying classified military information that was supposed to be secured by quantum encryption and neural locks. The Nexari Collective, Alina continued, turning her attention to the crystalline ship, prefers absorption to conquest. You integrate new species into your group consciousness, effectively erasing their individual identities while maintaining the illusion of cooperation. 43 species have been absorbed over the past 1500 years. Queen Mind Zara's collective recoiled in horror. The humans knew about the absorption process, which meant they had somehow penetrated the most secure levels of Nexari consciousness networks. And the Zilonian Federation, Alina finished, facing Admiral Corvin's shapeshifter form, specializes in economic conquest. You offer advanced technology in exchange for exclusive trading rights, creating dependencies that gradually transform entire civilizations into economic vassal states. 39 species currently exist solely to serve Zilonian commercial interests. The silence that followed was profound. In less than 5 minutes, a supposedly primitive human had demonstrated detailed knowledge of classified information from 3 different galactic powers. The implications were staggering. How Admiral Corvain finally managed to ask, his form struggling to maintain stability. Superior technology, Alina replied simply. You see, while you've all been focusing on conquest and expansion, humanity took a different approach. We focused on defense and technological development. The result is sitting right in front of you. As if summoned by her words, the Leviathan began to demonstrate its capabilities. Energy fields that shouldn't exist according to known physics rippled across its hull. Weapon systems that operated on principles the Alliance had never encountered, powered up with casual efficiency. Most disturbing of all, the massive ship began moving through space in ways that violated fundamental laws of momentum and inertia. Your vessel appears to ignore several basic principles of physics. Queen Mind Zara observed, her collective consciousness struggling to analyze what they were witnessing. Not ignore, Alina corrected, transcend. Humanity chose to approach scientific development differently than most galactic civilizations. While you focused on refining existing technologies, we focused on discovering entirely new principles. The results speak for themselves. Commander Vex studied his tactical displays with growing desperation. The energy readings from the human ship were off the scale. Whatever power source they were using generated more energy than the combined output of all 3 Alliance vessels. Their defensive systems showed characteristics that made no sense according to established physics. Most terrifying of all, their weapon systems appeared to be based on technologies that didn't exist in any Alliance database. What do you want? Dex finally asked, his voice carrying the weight of defeat. An excellent question, Alina replied. settling back in her command chair. What we want is quite simple, actually. We want to be left alone to develop our civilization according to our own values and principles. And if we refuse, Admiral Corvain asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Elena's expression grew serious for the first time since the conversation began. Commander, I need you to understand something very important. The Leviathan represents 8 decades of focused technological development by a species that knew it was facing an existential threat. Every system on this ship was designed with one purpose in mind: to ensure human survival against impossible odds. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. We didn't build the Leviathan to conquer the galaxy. We built it to defend humanity from those who would. If you force us to demonstrate its full capabilities, I guarantee you won't enjoy the experience. The threat was delivered with such calm professionalism that it somehow carried more weight than any amount of shouting or posturing could have achieved. The alien commanders found themselves facing something they had never encountered before. Species that was both technologically superior and completely uninterested in conquest. You're telling us that humanity has achieved technological superiority over the combined alliance, but you only want to be left alone? Queen Mindzara asked, her collective consciousness struggling with the concept. Essentially, yes, Alina confirmed. We have no interest in ruling other species or expanding our territory. We simply want the right to exist and develop according to our own path. It was a revolutionary concept. In 10,000 years of galactic history, technologically superior species had always sought to dominate those beneath them. The idea of a powerful civilization that preferred isolation to conquest was almost incomprehensible. Commander Vex made one final attempt to salvage the situation. Even if we agree to leave your system alone, the Alliance Council will never accept this precedent. Other species will demand the same independence. The entire galactic order could collapse. Elena's smile returned, but this time it carried a hint of something predatory. Commander, I think you're misunderstanding the new situation. You see, we're not asking for permission to exist independently. We're informing you that we will exist independently, regardless of what the Alliance decides. The Leviathan shifted position slightly, moving with impossible grace for something so massive. The movement was subtle, but it placed the human warship in a position where it could engage all 3 Alliance vessels simultaneously if necessary. However, Alina continued, her tone becoming more diplomatic. We're not unreasonable. We understand that our emergence creates complications for the existing galactic order. We are prepared to discuss reasonable accommodations. What kind of accommodations? Admiral Corvain asked cautiously. Humanity is willing to serve as a neutral mediator in galactic disputes, Alina explained. We have no territorial ambitions, no desire for conquest, and no species-specific prejudices. We could provide a valuable service as impartial arbitrators. It was a masterful offer, by positioning humanity as neutral peacekeepers rather than conquerors. Alina had found a way to integrate human power into the galactic community without destabilizing the existing order. The Alliance would maintain their territories and influence, but they would now have to acknowledge humanity as an equal partner rather than another conquest. Queen Mindzara was the first to grasp the implications. You're offering to become galactic peacekeepers. If the need arises, Alina confirmed, we have the technological capability to enforce peaceful resolutions to conflicts. More importantly, we have no stake in the outcome of territorial disputes between other species. Commander Vex felt a strange mixture of relief and humiliation. The humans were offering him a way to save face while acknowledging their complete military superiority. It was more generous than he had any right to expect, but it still meant accepting that the age of alliance dominance was over. "And if we refuse your offer?" he asked. Elena's expression grew cold. "Then you'll discover exactly how advanced human defensive technology has become. I should mention that the Leviathan is not the only ship of its class. We've been quite busy during our 80 years of preparation." The implication was clear. Humanity had not built just one super warship. They had built a fleet. The Alliance was not just outmatched by a single vessel, but by an entire human navy that had been developed in complete secrecy. The three alien commanders exchanged glances, though their different biologies made the gesture somewhat comical. They were facing a choice between accepting humanity as an equal partner or engaging in a war they could not possibly win. "Admiral," Corvain was the first to speak, "the Zolonian Federation accepts your proposal for neutral mediation services." "The Nexari Collective concurs," Queen Mind Zara added after a moment of collective deliberation. All eyes turned to Commander Vex. The Vorthok Empire had the most to lose from acknowledging human independence, but they also had the most to gain from avoiding a catastrophic war. "The Vorthok Empire agrees to recognize human sovereignty and accept your mediation services," Dex finally said, his voice heavy with the weight of galactic history. Captain Alina Vasquez smiled, and this time the expression was genuinely warm. "Excellent. I think this is the beginning of a much more interesting chapter in galactic civilization." As the Leviathan powered down its weapon systems and assumed a peaceful posture, the three alien commanders began to realize what had just happened. They had arrived expecting to add another primitive species to their collection of conquests. Instead, they had encountered something unprecedented, a species that had achieved technological transcendence not through conquest, but through pure scientific dedication. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of easy expansion was over, replaced by something new and uncertain. But perhaps, the commanders thought as they watched the human warship gracefully move through space, it would be something better. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians, and in the vast silence of space, that made all the difference. Asterisk.